What if there was a podcast that did it all? Sports, politics, world events. Well, that's what we've got. You're listening to C&C Talks.
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie.
Welcome to episode 10 of the C&C Talks podcast. And also, let's apologize for the technical difficulties last week, but now we're through them, and we're finally back for the first time in a couple of weeks. Good to see you, Charlie.
Yes, good to see you too, Colin. Our last episode was actually on the 6th of July.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. So it is currently Monday, July 25th, at about 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, and we're going to kick this off with the January 6th hearings. The hearings concluded, at least for the moment, this past Thursday. There will likely be more starting in September, as the committee revealed at their Thursday hearing. But what did we learn in the hearings, Charlie?
Yes, we learned that Mark Meadows said that his main goal was to keep Trump in office even after he lost the election.
And he knew that they lost the election.
Yes, almost everyone did. There was an Oval Office meeting on the 18th of December with White House lawyers and Rudy Giuliani. It was apparently very heated. They wanted to overturn the election while the White House lawyers wanted to stop it. Many in the room thought Trump and his gang were completely unhinged, and he sent a tweet telling people to come to the Capitol on the 6th, right after the meeting where they were plotting to overturn the election. Trump was telling people to come lead many groups to spring into action to get as many as possible and to get as large of a group as possible.
And let's remember this meeting, there was Trump, then there was like Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, that crazy gang of lawyers. The other side was like White House counsel type people, Pat Cipollone, Eric Hirschman, those type of people.
Yes, Trump drafted but never sent a tweet telling people to go directly from his rally to the Capitol. And also several House Republicans showed up at the White House for a meeting on the 21st of December to help plan the riot. Trump's campaign...
Yeah, so we're getting really towards the stage of implicating pretty much everybody here. It's just so many people involved in this. Truly a criminal conspiracy.
A rioter said that he was just following what Trump told them to do. And also Trump personally tried to tamper with a witness. He actually watched Fox News on January 6th instead of doing anything. During the attack, Trump called members of Congress and was still trying to get them to overturn the election. He also refused to issue a statement condemning the attack. He finally did, but only after it was clear that the attack had failed. Secret Service agents with Mike Pence were so worried that they would be killed that they wanted them to call their families. Josh Hawley was the one in charge of the mob. He had earlier said in the day raised a fist outside the Capitol in support to them.
But then there's now video of him then running from that mob. I will tell you, liberal Twitter had absolutely a field day with that one.
Yes. Even after the attack, Trump was still unwilling to say the election was over when reading an address from the teleprompter. And as you said earlier, there will be more hearings in September. And yep. Colin, we have some news on some texts from the Secret Service.
Yeah, so the Secret Service is now under a criminal investigation, which is not something that you like to hear about the people who are in charge of protecting the president. And this is because pretty much of their loyalty to the former president. They wiped their text messages from January 6th back in late January of 2021 after they were told to preserve them. It's also in violation of the National Records Act. Steve Bannon, he got convicted this week on 2 counts of contempt of Congress. He had defied subpoena from the January 6th committee to come in and testify. He's going to get guaranteed jail time here. Sentencing somewhere in October. He will get at least 30 days in jail, up to 2 years in jail. That's a big sentence. I think the expectation is somewhere in the range of 6 months to a year on this one.
Yes. In some other news, Elon Musk is trying to pull out of the deal to buy Twitter. And Twitter is actually taking him to court, and they're saying that the deal must go through because he's already signed it. Musk may have to pay significant money to pull out, or he may have to go through with it.
And remember, he originally purchased Twitter for about $44 billion. There's a good chance that if he is able to pull out, he'll have to pay Twitter about $1 billion and come away with nothing. So really kind of a poor business decision by Elon Musk here. Also talk about something that happened in Congress this past week. There's a bill that went through the House to vote to codify gay marriage into law after Clarence Thomas, in his concurrence to Roe v. Wade, said that the court should consider overturning the right to gay marriage. 157 Republicans voted against codifying gay marriage into law. Just 47 Republicans voted for the bill. And without it being federal law, if the Supreme Court overturns it, then states could outlaw it. This bill will likely pass the Senate. There are probably 10 Republicans who will vote for it. We're not sure yet, though.
And the Supreme Court is taking up a very dangerous court case in regards to the independent state legislature doctrine. It's a legal argument that would give state legislatures the power to throw out presidential elections and choose their own winner, which is a bit concerning because in some swing states, with if that state were to vote for the other party that is against their state government, the state government could at that point throw it out and switch the election.
Yeah, and again, something that the GOP is heavily pushing for. And there's a good chance that the court will rule with the GOP on this case, which just given the recent rulings and the fact that this court very much seems compromised at the moment.
Yes, and in Georgia, in the Georgia criminal investigation, Lindsey Graham, John Eastman, and Rudy Giuliani have all been subpoenaed by a grand jury. They're being investigated for the attempts to overturn the election in Georgia, and this was sparked by Trump's incriminating call with Brad Raffensperger.
Yeah, that was the call where he asked them to find the number of votes needed for him to win the election.
Yeah, the number the Biden got +1.
Exactly.
And also Anthony Fauci has announced his retirement. He will retire sometime in 2024. He is the country's top infectious disease expert. He has served every president since Reagan, and he was attacked by Trump and his supporters for his advice on COVID-19.
Yeah, and he just had an absolutely legendary career in Washington. Just done some phenomenal things with public health.
And we have some news on the fallout of the Supreme Court's decision to remove Roe v. Wade. Colin?
Yeah, so Biden has ordered U.S. hospitals to provide abortions if the life of the mother is in jeopardy. And that can actually preempt state law in life of the mother abortion cases, only at U.S.-run hospitals. So this is something that states will not be happy with. There's already Texas, they're suing to prevent this law, which, think about it, they are literally suing because they don't want people to get abortions, even if it would save the life of the mother. I mean, that's says all that you need to know about where the Republican Party is at right now, I think.
Yes.
And a 10-year-old in Ohio was forced to travel across state lines to get an abortion. Again, 10 years old. Then Republicans called her a liar, but once they were proven wrong, they started advocating for the doctor who performed the abortion to be arrested.
And one of the interesting things about these bans is they're actually causing some loopholes in other laws. For example, a woman in Texas is trying to avoid paying a ticket because she drove in the HOV lane with only one person in the car. However, she is pregnant, and she's claiming that Texas courts count as a fetus as a living person. So according to the law, there are two people in the car.
Yeah,
what do you think about
interesting.
That? Yeah. Republican Oklahoma Senator James Lankford says he believes 13-year-olds can consent to sex.
Yeah, that seems like a no. Yeah. Well, I don't know. And then the EU Parliament has voted to condemn the U.S.'s overturning of abortion rights.
And
also talk about Herschel Walker.
Yeah, well, also speaking of Europe, we have some pretty big news from England, don't we? The fact that England's Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is now no longer in power.
All right, let's also now talk about Herschel Walker, who we've covered many times. on this podcast, and never for good reasons.
No.
Some reports have come out that said Walker has lied to his campaign staff about his secret kids, which he's talked many times about how the father should always be present, and now we've learned that he's had secret kids with several different mothers. His campaign staff also apparently have no trust in him and have privately called him a pathological liar, which is not something that you generally want in a candidate for U.S. Senate.
No. Gas prices have continued to fall. They've fallen for 6 straight weeks. And Biden has actually gotten almost no credit from the same people that have blamed him for the rising gas prices. He likely had almost no impact on either the rise or the fall, however.
Yeah. And then let's move to some very unsurprising news, which is that the Texas power grid has failed again. This time, it's failing because of the heat. Last winter, it failed because it was too cold, but now it's failing because it's too hot and thousands of people without AC. Texas runs their power grid separate from the rest of the country, and Governor Greg Abbott, despite calling 3 special sessions of the state legislature to pass voting restrictions, has not done anything to try to fix their power grid.
And we have some news from Georgia. The Georgia Guidestones have been blown up. Someone set off a bomb in the middle of the night in the middle of them. So what are they, Colin?
Yeah, so they're a sculpture that is built in rural Georgia. Actually, a great piece by John Oliver a few weeks ago on this. We'll link that in the description to the podcast. But it looks kind of like Stonehenge. It has some inscriptions on it that are commonly thought of as instructions for rebuilding after an apocalypse. However, the far right thinks it reveals a world genocide plot because it says that it should keep the world population under 500 million people. They were a right-winger was most likely who blew it up. They were built by somebody under an alias in 1980. However, right-wingers believe it is hundreds of years old. However, when it was built, the world population was already over 500 million people. The builder is likely it's apparently somebody who wrote an article praising David Duke, the Klan leader. And some of the writings, such as Guide Reproduction Wisely, you could then interpret as white supremacist thoughts.
So let's move on to world events. Actually, the first part of world events isn't even in our world at the moment. And that's the James Webb Space Telescope, which released its first pictures from last week, and it gave us our clearest view back in time to 13 billion years ago. And I must say, some of those images are absolutely incredible, aren't they?
Oh, stunning. It really makes you think.
It does.
It really makes you think.
The telescope can also help search for signs of life on other planets or signs that other planets may harbor life.
Yeah.
And we have some news out of the UK, Colin.
Yeah, so Boris Johnson has resigned, following dozens of MPs and members of his cabinet resigning. It's followed the Partygate scandal where he held those secret parties, although the tipping point may have been when he appointed somebody who had sexual misconduct issues as his deputy chief of staff.
And something interesting that I saw a few days ago is apparently actually a good percentage of the right-wing parties in England actually support Boris Johnson. They thought that he was the best option that they currently had. So it'll be interesting to see when they pick his replacement how much British politics will change.
Yeah. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shot. He died the next day. But gun violence is actually a very rare thing in Japan. I believe that there have been something like 3 gun violence deaths in Japan this year, which is nothing like the U.S.
And that the shooter actually made the gun. It was homemade.
Yeah,
they built
homemade gun, correct. Also, the Sri Lankan president and prime minister have resigned after the presidential palace was stormed by private citizens because of their economic crisis there. But now, before we move on to sports, it's time for Charlie's Thing of the Week.
And actually, my thing of the week comes from another member of the team. Thank you, Zack, for this one. I have been told that the Coca-Cola product Fanta, the soda, the orange soda, was originally made in Nazi Germany, which I don't know. That's kind of weird. Soda's pretty good. I enjoy it. Tastes good. Anyway, that's my thing of the week.
Yep. All right, so move on to sports, and we're going to start with the ESPY Awards. Albert Pujols won the Sports Humanitarian of the Year award. He founded the Pujols Family Foundation, which helps people in the Dominican Republic who are in poverty, also aids people with Down syndrome. That's because one of his goals is because his daughter, or one of his daughters, has Down syndrome. Dick Vitale also won the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance. He's raised over $50 million for cancer research. He just got cancer about a year ago, but after going through treatment, he is now cancer-free. The Golden State Warriors won the Team of the Year. Katie Ledecky, the Olympic swimmer, won the Best Women's Athlete, while Shohei Ohtani, the superstar in baseball who can both bat and pitch, he won the Best Men's Athlete. Klay Thompson, coming back from his 2 years of injuries with the torn ACL and Achilles, won the Best Comeback Athlete. While Steph Curry won Best NBA Player and Best Record-Breaking Performance for the Best Three-Point Record. The Game of the Year award went to the Chiefs-Bills overtime thriller in the postseason.
Which, personally, for me, was the worst play of the year, because I am a massive Bills fan. That was quite unfortunate.
Yes. Let's go to MLB All-Star Week. In the All-Star game, the American League won 3-2 on Giancarlo Stanton and Byron Buxton's back-to-back home runs. It was their 9th straight win in the All-Star game. Last time that the National League won, 2012. There was no game in 2020 because of COVID.
And in the home run derby, Juan Soto won the derby. He plays for the Nationals. Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners was the runner-up. He hit 81 home runs across the 3 rounds and defeated the 2-time defending champion, Pete Alonso. And actually, 42-year-old Albert Pujols made it to the 2nd round, defeating Schwarber, correct?
Yeah, defeating Kyle Schwarber, who may or may not have kind of let Pujols win.
Yeah.
My personal theory.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have some more news on NBA free agency. Colin?
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton, he will return to the Suns. They matched the Pacers' offer, as it was their right, which now means he cannot be traded until January. He was thought that he might be part of a Kevin Durant trade. That seems more unlikely now. He will now have to repair a broken relationship, though, with Suns coach Monty Williams, after Williams said that he gave up on the team in the postseason. We'll see if that works out. The Jazz are also listening to offers for Donovan Mitchell. Jazz won at least 5 first-round picks as well as several players. That's going to be hard to do. But the Knicks and the Heat are potential options who apparently have some interest. Also, in Wimbledon, Novak Djokovic has won another title. 7th at Wimbledon, 21st slam overall, defeated Nick Kyrgios in 4 sets. Elena Rybakina has won the women's title, though, which is the first slam of her career, Charlie.
Yes. And in the Open, Cameron Smith wins the 150th championship. It's his first major win, and he finished 20 under par. He actually came back from 4 strokes down on the final day. Tiger Woods missed the cut, and it was probably his final tournament at St. Andrews.
Yep.
We also have some news from the NFL, as Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield was traded to the Panthers. The Browns get back a 2024 first-round pick. And the Browns starter is now Deshaun Watson, former Texans quarterback, and he will likely get suspended for part of the season or the full season due to sexual assault. In that case, if he is suspended, their starting quarterback would be Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah. Let's go on to the Formula One French Grand Prix. Have any more on that?
Yes, I do. There was interest early in the weekend when coming to turn 3 in qualifying. Mick Schumacher, who ended up finishing that lap in 10th position, ended up getting track limits, which pushed him all the way down to 19th, where he would start the race. Leclerc was on pole. He is 16th career pole, tying current championship leader Max Verstappen in career poles. However, Ferrari's we're looking like they were going to win early, except their weekend unfortunately ended early with Leclerc spinning into turn 11, I believe it was. Yeah, spinning into turn 11, hitting the wall, and crashing out of the race, which allowed Verstappen to cruise to victory, extending his championship lead, with Mercedes, who brought a couple of massive upgrades to France, ending up with Hamilton in second and Russell in third.
All right. Now let's move on to the Blue Jays. They fired their manager, Charlie Montoyo, having an underwhelming season so far. They were in playoff position when he was fired, but had just been swept by the Mariners. They're now back in playoff position. The Blue Jays have won all but one game since Montoyo was fired. Let's also talk about
including a 28-4 stomping of Boston.
28-5 of the Red Sox.
Oh, they did. I checked when it was 28-4, and I didn't see that the Boston scored again.
Yes, but the Kansas City Royals actually had won that one game against Toronto. But it was interesting because 10 of their players were unable to travel there because of their unvaccinated status, 6 more than any other team. Andrew Benintendi, Whit Merrifield, MJ Melendez, Hunter Dozier, Brad Keller, Bradley Singer, Michael A. Taylor, Kyle Isbell, Dylan Coleman, and Cam Gallagher.
And
Benintendi, expected to be traded this month, brings down his potential value. And 4 of the 5 Royals' top hitters, they can't go to Toronto, as well as the top 2 starting pitchers. Both of the Blue Jays catchers can't go either. Salvador Perez, he could go, but he's injured. But again, they still won a game in that series.
Yeah, because the interesting thing about that is a lot of the names on that list are Royals starters. So essentially, Toronto was playing against the Royals AAA team.
Yeah, pretty much. He cannot now play in the U.S. Open unless he gets vaccinated. He's already missed the Australian Open this year because of his vaccination status.
And we also have some news from Zack Wilson, the Jets quarterback. Colin, can we get some more on that?
Yeah, so it's a really unfortunate situation. Washington Commanders wide receiver Dax Milne posted a romantic picture with Wilson's ex-girlfriend, Abby Giles. Milne was actually Wilson's roommate in college, and Charlie, it's never really a good thing when your girlfriend is now dating your best friend. However,
yeah, it's not a good look.
So people wanted to know why, and it's not nearly as bad as what Zack Wilson was doing, because according to Giles, Wilson's ex, it was because Wilson had slept with his mom's best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, that's normally a big uh-oh. So that's really unfortunate, and that seems like a great note to end this one on.
I guess it does.
Yeah, so be sure to subscribe. We have new episodes every single Tuesday, available everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter at CC Talks Podcast, or submit your questions at anchor.fm/CC Talks. And for Morris, our producer, Zack, production design, and Drake, our co-writer, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie. See you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Goodbye.